Sarah Chen walked through the massive halls of Nexus Prime for what she knew would be the last time. The space station was huge beyond human understanding. It floated in the center of the galaxy, far from any star system. This was where the Galactic Council met to decide the fate of billions of beings across thousands of worlds. Sarah had been Earth's main representative for 8 years. She had worked hard to make humanity look good to the older alien races, but today all that work was going to end in the worst way possible. The council chamber was a giant sphere with seats arranged in rings. The most important alien races sat in the center. Earth's small section was way out on the edge, where the newest and least trusted members stayed. Sarah took her seat and looked around at the strange beings that ran the galaxy. The Veleth looked like living crystals that grew into tall, sharp shapes. They were the oldest race in the council, and thought they were the smartest. The Nethys were clouds of glowing gas that floated in special containers. They spoke by changing colors instead of using sounds. The Keepers were a group mind made of millions of tiny metal creatures that worked together like a hive. Today felt different from other council meetings. Usually the aliens ignored the humans or gave them boring jobs to do. But today many of them were staring at Sarah and the other human representatives. Their looks were not friendly. The Veleth Primarch, whose name was too hard for human tongues to say, began to speak. The translation device in Sarah's ear turned the crystal being's ringing tones into words she could understand. "We gather today to address a serious problem," the Primarch said. "For 30 years we have tried to help the humans learn how to live peacefully with other races. We have shared our technology and wisdom with them, but they have failed to learn our ways." Sarah felt her heart start to beat faster. This was not going to be good. The Primarch continued, "The humans take too many resources from every planet they visit. They turn every tool into a weapon. They ask too many questions about things that should not be questioned. They refuse to follow the proper ways of doing things that have kept peace in the galaxy for thousands of years." Another alien, a tall blue creature with too many arms, stood up to speak. "The humans sent military ships to rescue Keth refugees last year, even though the council had voted to let them solve their own problems. This breaks our most important rule about not interfering with primitive races." Sarah wanted to shout that the Keth were dying and needed help, but she stayed quiet. She knew nothing she said would matter now. A new voice joined in. This time it was a Nethys, speaking through color changes that the translator turned into words. "Human colonies use 3 times more energy than any other race. They build factories on every world they touch. They cut down forests and dig up mountains without asking permission from the planet's spirit. The accusations kept coming. The humans were too violent. They asked too many questions about forbidden technology. They made friends with races the council had decided were dangerous. They refused to follow the careful, slow ways that kept the galaxy stable." Finally, the Primarch called for quiet. "The council has discussed this problem for many months. We have reached a decision. By a vote of 847 in favor, 12 against, the human race is hereby expelled from the Galactic Council." Sarah felt like someone had hit her in the stomach. Around the chamber, she could hear the other human representatives gasp in shock. Some of the younger alien races looked sad, but most of the older ones seemed pleased. The Primarch was not finished. "All human colonies outside the Sol system must be abandoned within 1 galactic year. All trade agreements with human worlds are cancelled immediately. All council technology given to humans must be returned or destroyed. Humans are banned from entering council space or contacting council member races." Sarah stood up slowly. Her legs felt weak, but she forced herself to walk to the speaking platform in the center of the chamber. The translation device would carry her words to every being in the room. "Honored members of the council," she began, trying to keep her voice steady. "I understand that you see us as a problem, but I think you are making a mistake about who we really are." The chamber was completely quiet now. Even the Nethys had stopped their color shifting. "You say we are too aggressive, but we have never started a war with any council race. You say we take too many resources, but we have always paid fair prices for what we use. You say we ask too many questions, but how else can we learn to be better?" Sarah looked around at the alien faces watching her. Some looked bored, others angry, but a few seemed to be actually listening. "You think our curiosity is dangerous. You think our need to help others is wrong. You think our way of solving problems is too fast and too risky. But maybe these things are not flaws. Maybe they are gifts." The Veleth Primarch's crystal body flashed with annoyed colors. The human speaks of gifts, but we see only chaos. Your race has existed for only a few thousand years, yet you act like you know better than civilizations that are millions of years old. Sarah felt anger rising in her chest, but she kept her voice calm. We are young, yes, but being young means we still remember how to grow, how to change, how to dream of being better than we are today. She paused and looked directly at the Primarch. You are exiling us because you are afraid. Not afraid of what we might do to you, but afraid of what we might show you about yourselves. You have been the same for so long that you have forgotten how to be anything else. The chamber erupted in angry sounds and flashing lights as the aliens reacted to her words. But Sarah was not done. This exile will not destroy us, she said, raising her voice above the noise. It will set us free. Free to be what we really are instead of what you want us to be. Free to find our own way among the stars. Free to help other races that you have decided are not worth your time. She looked around the chamber one last time. When you realize that the galaxy is changing whether you like it or not, you will remember this day. You will remember that you had a choice to change with it or be left behind. Today you chose to be left behind. Sarah walked away from the speaking platform and headed for the exit. The other human representatives followed her. Behind them, the council chamber was still full of angry alien voices. As they reached their ship in the docking bay, Sarah's assistant asked, "What do we do now?" Sarah looked out at the stars through the ship's window. Somewhere out there was Earth, and all the human colonies that would soon have to be abandoned. Somewhere out there was a future that humans would have to build for themselves. Now we go home, she said. And we get to work. The ship pulled away from Nexus Prime and jumped into faster-than-light travel. Behind them, the council continued their meeting as if nothing important had happened. They had no idea that they had just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. 25 years had passed since the exile. The Sol system looked very different now than it had when the humans first returned from council space. Every planet and moon was covered with cities, factories, and defense stations. Huge ships moved between the worlds, carrying materials and people to build humanity's new future. Dr. Marcus Webb floated in his laboratory on Europa Station, looking at the latest test results from the Prometheus project. His team had been working for 2 decades to understand and improve every piece of council technology that humans had ever seen. What they had discovered surprised even him. The council races are not more advanced than us, he said to his assistant, Dr. Kim Patel. They are just older. They stopped trying to make new things millions of years ago. Kim looked at the data on her screen. Their faster-than-light drives are actually very simple. They work, but they are slow and use too much energy. We can make them much better, Marcus smiled. That is exactly what I mean. They found something that worked and never tried to improve it, but humans always want to make things better. Across the solar system, Captain Elena Vasquez was preparing for the most important test flight in human history. Her ship, the New Horizon, was built entirely by humans using their improved versions of Council technology. The ship was smaller than Council vessels, but much faster and stronger. All systems ready for jump test, her engineer reported. The new gravity drive is online and stable. Elena felt excited and nervous at the same time. The gravity drive was completely different from Council technology. Instead of slowly bending space like the aliens did, it created controlled black holes that the ship could ride like a wave. Council engineers had said this was impossible and too dangerous to try. Begin jump sequence, Elena ordered. The ship disappeared from Jupiter orbit and reappeared near Neptune in less than 2 seconds. A council ship would have taken 20 minutes to make the same trip. Jump successful, the navigator called out. We are exactly where we planned to be, Elena grinned. Send a message to Earth. Tell them we just broke every speed record the council ever set. But the real breakthrough was happening on the edge of the solar system. Dr. Sarah Martinez, working at the listening station on Pluto, had detected something strange. Radio signals were coming from outside the solar system, but they were not from any council race. The signals were weak and full of static, but the translation computers could understand them. They were distress calls from a race called the Keth, asking for help from anyone who could hear them. They say they are dying, Sarah reported to Earth Command. Their star is getting too hot, and they do not have the technology to move to another planet. Admiral James Chen, Sarah Chen's son, who now commanded Earth's space forces, studied the report. The council had rules about not helping primitive races, but humans were no longer part of the council. Where are they? he asked. About 30 light years from here. The new horizon could reach them in a few days with the new drive. James thought for a moment. His mother had taught him that doing the right thing was more important than following rules made by others. Send Captain Vasquez to investigate, he ordered. If they really need help, we will give it to them. A week later, Elena was looking at the Keth homeworld through her ship's sensors. The planet was beautiful but clearly in trouble. The star was indeed getting hotter, and the oceans were starting to boil away. Millions of Keth were dying from the heat and radiation. The Keth themselves were tall, thin beings with gray skin and large black eyes. They had built cities and machines, but their technology was centuries behind human levels. They had been sending distress calls into space for 50 years, hoping someone would help them. Elena opened communications with the planet's leaders. This is Captain Vasquez of the human ship New Horizon. We received your distress calls. We want to help you. The response came back quickly, filled with hope and disbelief. You are not from the Council? The crystal beings told us long ago that no one would help us because we are too primitive. We are not from the Council, Elena replied. We are humans and we believe all intelligent life has value. Can you tell us what you need? Working together, the humans and Keth developed a plan. Human ships would evacuate the Keth population to a new world they had found in a nearby system. It would take time, but it could be done. The first Keth refugees arrived in the Sol system 3 months later. They were amazed by what humans had built in their isolated corner of space. Cities that floated in the clouds of Venus, farms on the moons of Jupiter, and factories that could build anything imaginable. How did you make all this in such a short time? Asked Elder Keth Morven, the leader of his people. We had to, explained Dr. Webb, who was showing the Keth around Luna City. When the Council threw us out, we had to learn to do everything ourselves. We could not ask for help, so we had to become very good at solving problems. Morven looked around at the busy streets filled with humans working together. The Council told us that races like ours could never build such things. They said we were too young and too stupid to understand advanced technology. Dr. Webb frowned. The Council likes to keep other races dependent on them. They tell you that you cannot do things, so you will not try. But look what your people did when you worked with us. You learned to operate human technology in just a few weeks. As more Keth were rescued, they shared stories about other races they had met over the years. There were the Saurid, warrior people who had been exiled from the Council for refusing to give up their military traditions. There were the Jovak, who thought as one giant mind but were banned because the Council was afraid of them. There were dozens of other races that the Council had either ignored or pushed away. Elena was promoted to admiral and given command of the growing human fleet. Her ships were now exploring beyond the Sol system, looking for more races that needed help. What they found surprised everyone. The galaxy is full of people who were rejected by the Council, she reported to Earth. Some were too aggressive, some too different, some too new. But they are all intelligent and good people who just want to live free. Admiral Chen looked at the star map showing all the races that humans had found. The Council thinks they control the galaxy, but they only control the races that agree to follow their rules. Everyone else has been left out in the cold. Dr. Webb had an idea. What if we brought them together? All the races the Council rejected could work as a team. We could share technology and knowledge. We could protect each other. The idea grew into something bigger than anyone had imagined. Earth sent messages to every rejected race they could find, inviting them to a great meeting in the Sol system. The response was incredible. Ships began arriving from across the galaxy, strange vessels carrying beings that looked like nothing humans had ever seen. But they all had one thing in common. They had been told by the Council that they were not good enough to join galactic civilization. The first meeting of what would become the Terran Commonwealth took place in orbit around Earth. Representatives from 30 different races gathered to hear Admiral Chen speak. The Council thinks they can decide who deserves to live free among the stars, he said. They think they can choose who is worthy of friendship and who should be left alone to struggle. But they are wrong. He looked around at the strange beings from across the galaxy. We are all here because we refuse to give up what makes us who we are. Today we start building something new, not an empire ruled by fear, but a community built on friendship and respect. The Commonwealth was born that day, and the galaxy would never be the same. 10 years after the Commonwealth was formed, the Sol system had become the most important place in the galaxy for anyone who wanted freedom. New Geneva Station orbited Earth like a small moon, home to over 50 million beings from dozens of different races. Admiral Sarah Chen, daughter of the woman who had defied the Council years ago, looked out at the busy traffic of ships coming and going. "Another delegation from the Outer Rim wants to join us," her aide reported. "That makes 12 new applications this month," Sarah nodded. Word about the Commonwealth was spreading faster than anyone had expected. Races that had never heard of humans now sent ships across the galaxy to ask for membership in the alliance that welcomed everyone. The Commonwealth had grown beyond what anyone had dreamed possible. The original members had brought in their friends and neighbors. The Keth had introduced them to the peaceful Luminari, who could live in the cold vacuum of space. The Saurid warriors had brought their old allies, the four-armed Zalak engineers. Each new member brought more knowledge, more skills, and more friends. Dr. Webb, now much older but still excited about new discoveries, ran the Commonwealth Science Division from a massive research station near Jupiter. His teams included the best minds from every member race, working together on projects that would have been impossible alone. "Look at this," he said to his assistant, Dr. Patel, showing her the latest breakthrough. "The Jovac hive mind can process information 1,000 times faster than human brains. But when we combine their processing power with human creativity and Keth intuition, we can solve problems that seemed impossible." The proof was all around them. Commonwealth technology was now far ahead of anything the Council had ever built. Their ships were faster, stronger, and more efficient. Their cities were more beautiful and more comfortable. Their weapons were more powerful, but more importantly, their medicine was better and their food production was more advanced. But the real revolution was in how different races worked together. The Council had always kept species separate, claiming that mixing different types of beings was dangerous. The Commonwealth proved this was wrong. Captain Zara Okafor commanded the exploration ship Unity, with a crew that included humans, Keth, Saurid, Zalak, and Luminari working side by side. Her ship had just returned from a successful first contact mission with a race called the Hegemony, who had been ignored by the Council for centuries because they looked too much like Earth insects. "The Hegemony are amazing builders," she reported to Admiral Chen. "They can create structures that grow like living things but are stronger than metal. They want to share their knowledge with us." Sarah smiled. This was how it was supposed to work. Different races bringing different skills together to make everyone stronger. But not everyone was happy about the Commonwealth's success. Reports were coming in from Council space about increasing problems. Member races were asking uncomfortable questions about why they had to follow so many restrictions while the Commonwealth races seemed to be advancing so quickly. The Asari Scientific Collective had secretly contacted the Commonwealth, asking for help with research projects that the Council had banned as too dangerous. The Turian exploration fleet had been caught mapping Commonwealth space, claiming they were just curious but obviously impressed by how far and fast humans and their allies had spread across the galaxy. Most surprising of all, a group of young Valeth had sent an encrypted message asking if crystal beings could join the Commonwealth. They were tired of the old ways and wanted to try new things, but the Council had forbidden any changes to traditional Valeth culture. "The Council is getting nervous," Admiral Chen told the Commonwealth High Command during their weekly meeting. "Our intelligence sources say they are having emergency sessions about what to do about us." General Thak Ra, the Saurid military leader, showed his sharp teeth in what humans had learned was a smile. "Let them be nervous. We have done nothing but help people they abandoned and advance knowledge they were too afraid to seek. That is exactly why they are worried," said Mind Speaker Vex 291 of the Jovac Collective. "We represent everything they have been telling their people is impossible. We are proof that their way is not the only way." The proof came in the form of a formal message delivered by an unmarked ship at the edge of Commonwealth space. Admiral Chen read it aloud to the assembled representatives. "From the Galactic Council to the Illegal Human Alliance," she began. "You are ordered to cease all activities outside your assigned system. You will return all non-human races to their original territories. You will destroy all technology that exceeds approved levels. You will submit to Council inspection and control. Failure to comply will result in enforcement action." The chamber was quiet for a moment. Then Elder Morvan of the Keth began to laugh. Soon, other representatives joined in until the whole room was filled with the sounds of dozens of different species expressing amusement. "They still think they can order us around," General Thackraw said when the laughter died down. "They still think we are the same weak refugees they rejected." Admiral Chen stood up. "Send this reply. The Terran Commonwealth recognizes no authority over free peoples. We have not attacked Council territory or threatened Council races. We have simply offered friendship to those you abandoned and knowledge to those you ignored. If you see this as a threat, perhaps you should ask yourselves why." But everyone knew the Council would not accept this answer. War was coming, and both sides were preparing for it. The Commonwealth had advantages the Council did not expect. Their mixed crews could think in ways that single-species teams could not match. Their technology was advancing every day, instead of staying the same for millions of years. Most importantly, they were fighting for their freedom instead of fighting to maintain control. Admiral Chen looked around at her allies, beings that the Council had called primitive, dangerous, or worthless. A Keth engineer was discussing power systems with a human physicist. A Saurid warrior was learning navigation from a luminary pilot who lived in space itself. A Zelak artist was teaching Jovac drones how to create beauty as well as efficiency. This was what the Council feared most. Not human aggression or alien differences, but the power that came from different types of intelligence working together toward a common goal. The Council had spent millions of years making sure this never happened. But humans had made it happen in just a few decades. "They think we are rebels," Sarah said to her staff, "but we are not trying to destroy their system. We are just showing everyone that there is a better way to live." Captain Okafor, recently promoted to Admiral of the Commonwealth Exploration Fleet, had just returned from a long-range scouting mission. Her report was both exciting and worrying. "We have made contact with 17 new races in the past year," she said. "All of them want to join us. But we also detected massive Council fleet movements heading toward our borders. They are not just planning to talk to us." Sarah looked at the star maps showing Commonwealth territory and Council space. The borders were getting closer as more races chose freedom over Council control. "How long do we have?" she asked. 6 months, maybe less. "The Council is mobilizing the largest fleet in galactic history. They are calling it a peacekeeping operation to restore order to chaos." Sarah thought about her grandmother, who had first defied the Council all those years ago. She had said they would regret their choice to exile humanity. Now that day was coming. "Send word to all Commonwealth worlds," Sarah ordered. "Tell them we do not seek this fight, but we will not run from it. Tell them that freedom is worth defending, no matter what it costs." The message went out across hundreds of star systems to billions of beings who had found new hope in the Commonwealth. The response was immediate and unanimous. They would stand together against any force that tried to take away their freedom. The stage was set for the greatest war the galaxy had ever seen. On one side, the ancient Council with their vast fleets and their certainty that they knew what was best for everyone. On the other side, the young Commonwealth with their new ideas and their belief that everyone deserved the right to choose their own path among the stars. The message from Nexus Prime arrived on a cold morning at New Geneva Station. Admiral Sarah Chen watched as the massive Council battleship approached Commonwealth space. The ship was 10 times larger than anything in the human fleet, covered with weapons that could destroy entire cities. The communication came directly from Primarch Zethvar, the new leader of the Council who had taken power when the old crystal rulers finally admitted they had a problem they could not ignore. "Admiral Chen," the translated voice said, "I come to offer you one final chance to avoid unnecessary destruction. Dissolve your illegal alliance immediately. Return all member races to their designated territories. Submit to Council authority. Do this, and humanity will be allowed to exist as a supervised protectorate." Sarah looked at the huge warship on her screen. Behind it, her sensors were detecting more ships appearing from hyperspace. Hundreds of them, then thousands. The Council had brought the largest military force the galaxy had ever seen. "And if we refuse?" Sarah asked, though she already knew the answer. "Then the Council will restore order by force. Your alliance is a threat to galactic stability. It encourages dangerous thinking among races that should know their place. It spreads chaos where there should be peace." Sarah thought about all the beings living freely in Commonwealth space. Keth children playing with human kids on Earth. Saurid warriors teaching Zelak engineers how to be brave. Jovac drones learning art from luminary poets. All of this would be destroyed if the Council won. "Primarch," she said carefully, With respect, you are the ones bringing chaos. We have never attacked any council world or threatened any council race. We have simply offered friendship to people you threw away. Friendship that undermines proper authority, the Primarch replied. Your commonwealth gives other races ideas about independence. It makes them think they can refuse council guidance. This cannot be allowed to continue. Sarah felt anger growing in her chest, but she kept her voice calm. So you would rather destroy us than let people choose freedom? Freedom is chaos, the Primarch said. The council has kept peace for millions of years by ensuring everyone knows their role. You humans never learned this lesson. Now you teach others to be like you. This ends today. The communication cut off. Sarah immediately opened channels to all Commonwealth worlds and fleets. This is Admiral Chen to all Commonwealth forces, she broadcast. The Council has chosen war over peace. They have chosen control over freedom. They think their ancient ships and old tactics will easily defeat us. They are about to learn how wrong they are. The first battle happened at Kepler Station, a Commonwealth outpost on the edge of Council space. The Council sent a fleet of 50 warships to capture the station and use it as a base for attacking Commonwealth worlds. What they found waiting for them was Commander Lisa Park with just 12 Commonwealth vessels. The Council Admiral was so confident that he did not even bother to demand surrender. His ships simply began their attack. The battle lasted exactly 17 minutes. Commonwealth ships were smaller and faster than Council vessels. While the massive Council battleships slowly turned their main weapons, the human-designed ships darted around them like angry wasps. Keth intuition helped Commonwealth navigators predict where enemy shots would go. Sorid reflexes helped gunners hit targets that should have been impossible to catch. Jovac processing power coordinated the attacks of multiple ships working together like parts of a single mind. But the real shock came when the Commonwealth ships did not try to destroy the Council fleet. Instead, they used new weapons that Dr. Webb's teams had developed, devices that shut down ship systems without killing anyone inside. When the battle ended, all 50 Council ships were floating helpless in space. Commander Park opened communications with the defeated fleet. Council vessels, this is Commander Park of the Commonwealth Fleet. Your ships are disabled, but your crews are safe. You have two choices. You can return to Council space with a message that we do not want this war, but we will defend ourselves. Or you can stay and learn what freedom really means. The Council Admiral was so shocked he could barely speak. You defeated us without killing anyone? We are not like you, Commander Park replied. We do not destroy people just because they disagree with us. We defend ourselves, but we do not murder. 30 of the 50 Council ships chose to stay. Their crews had never seen anything like the Commonwealth before. Different races working together as equals, advanced technology shared freely, and most amazing of all, no one being forced to do anything against their will. The news of Kepler Station spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The mighty Council fleet had been defeated in minutes by a tiny Commonwealth force. More shocking was that the Commonwealth had shown mercy to their enemies. Primarch Zethvar was furious. He ordered a full assault on Commonwealth space with over 2,000 warships. But by now, word of what happened at Kepler Station had reached every corner of Council territory. On the Asari research worlds, scientists began openly questioning why they needed Council permission to study what they wanted. The Turian exploration fleet started refusing orders to attack Commonwealth settlements. Even some young Vailith began asking why their elders were so afraid of change. The second major battle took place near the Keth homeworlds. Admiral Chen herself led the Commonwealth defense with 300 ships against a Council force 5 times larger. This time the battle lasted 3 hours, and it changed everything. The Council had learned from Kepler Station. Their ships spread out more and used different tactics, but they still thought like they always had, slowly and carefully following ancient plans that had worked for millions of years. The Commonwealth fought like no one had ever fought before. Human creativity, Keth wisdom, Saurid courage, Zelak engineering, Jovac coordination, and Luminary grace working together in perfect harmony. They did not follow any plan because they could adapt faster than any plan could change. When it was over, Admiral Chen had not just defeated the Council fleet, she had captured over half of it intact. Thousands of Council crew members found themselves prisoners of people they had come to destroy. But again, the Commonwealth surprised everyone. Instead of holding the prisoners in cages, They were invited to tour Commonwealth worlds and see how different races lived together in peace. Many of them had never met beings from other species as equals before. A council fighter pilot named Jexka, member of a race called the Methani, was given a tour of New Geneva Station by a human engineer named Robert Kim. "I do not understand," Jexka said as they watched Keth children playing with human kids in the station's park. "Council doctrine says different races cannot live together safely." "It causes conflict and chaos," Robert laughed. "Look around. Do you see conflict and chaos?" Jexka watched a Saurid teacher showing Zalak students how to paint, while Jovak drones helped luminary poets organize a concert. "No," he said quietly. "I see. I see what we were told was impossible. That is why they are afraid of us," Robert explained. "Not because we are dangerous, but because we prove they are wrong. For millions of years they have told everyone that their way is the only way. We show that there are better ways to live." Similar conversations were happening all over Commonwealth space as council prisoners discovered that everything they had been taught about the Commonwealth was false. They had expected to find aggressive savages ruling over slaves. Instead, they found free people working together because they chose to, not because they were forced to. Many of the prisoners asked to stay. Others returned to council space carrying stories about what they had seen. The effect was like dropping rocks in a still pond. Ripples of new ideas spread everywhere. Primarch Zethvar realized that military force alone would not be enough. The Commonwealth was not just defeating council fleets, they were defeating council ideas. Every battle made more people question whether the old ways were really the best ways. The war was far from over, but already it was clear that the galaxy would never be the same. The age of council control was ending, and something new was beginning to take its place. Admiral Chen stood on the observation deck of her flagship, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, her grandmother's dream was becoming reality. The humans who had been exiled for being different were now leading the galaxy toward a future where everyone could be different together. "They wanted us gone, because they thought we would cause chaos," she said to her aide. "They were right about one thing: we are causing chaos. We are destroying their perfect, boring order and replacing it with something better." The aide, a young Keth named Morven Ka, smiled with his large black eyes. "My grandfather says the best kind of chaos is the kind that leads to freedom." Sarah nodded. "Then we are about to create the best chaos the galaxy has ever seen." 3 years after the war began, Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the ruins of what had once been the most feared military base in the galaxy. Fortress Prime had been the Council's main weapons testing facility, hidden in a system far from any inhabited worlds. Now it was a pile of twisted metal floating in space. But the Commonwealth had not destroyed it with bombs or missiles. They had destroyed it with ideas. "The base commander surrendered without firing a shot," reported Captain Torres, Sarah's tactical officer. "When our ships arrived, half his crews had already mutinied. They wanted to join us instead of fighting us." Sarah nodded. This was how most battles ended now. The Council still had more ships and bigger weapons, but they were losing the war because their own people no longer believed in what they were fighting. For the turning point had come 8 months earlier at the Battle of Rigel 7. Admiral Chen had led a Commonwealth fleet against the largest council armada ever assembled, over 10,000 warships. Commanded by Primarch Zethvar himself, the battle should have been a massacre, with the Commonwealth forces hopelessly outnumbered. Instead, it became the end of the Council's power. The Commonwealth fleet had arrived at Rigel 7 to find something unexpected. The Council armada was there, but so were ships from dozens of Council member races who had come to watch the final destruction of the rebels. What the Primarch did not know was that many of these observers had secret sympathies for the Commonwealth. When the battle began, Sarah did something no military commander had ever done before. Instead of attacking, she broadcast an open message to every ship in the system. "Beings of all races," her voice carried across space, "we did not come here to conquer or destroy. We came here to defend our right to exist as free people. But this war is not really about us. It is about whether you will be allowed to choose your own futures or whether you will spend forever doing what others tell you to do." Then she did something even more shocking. She ordered her ships to power down their weapons. "We will not fire the first shot in this battle," she announced. "If the Council wants to destroy us, they will have to do it while we are defenseless. Let the galaxy see what their peacekeepers really are." Primarch Zethvar was furious. This was not how wars were supposed to work. Enemies were supposed to fight back so you could destroy them honorably. They were not supposed to make you look like a bully attacking helpless victims. You think your cowardice will save you? He broadcast back. You think hiding behind words will protect you from justice? I think, Sarah replied calmly, that everyone watching this battle is about to see the difference between us and you. We trust in the goodness of intelligent beings. You trust only in force. The Primarch ordered the attack. But as soon as the Council ships began firing on the defenseless Commonwealth fleet, something incredible happened. Ships from the watching fleets began moving between the Council attackers and their targets. Asari science vessels, Turian explorers, even some young Valeth ships placed themselves in the line of fire to protect the Commonwealth forces. Stand down. The Primarch ordered his new obstacles. You are interfering with a legal peacekeeping operation. No, replied Commander Vexi of the Asari fleet. We are preventing a massacre. These people have done nothing but offer friendship to races you abandoned. If you want to kill them, you will have to kill us too. Within hours, the space around Rigel 7 was full of ships from dozens of Council races, all refusing to let the Commonwealth fleet be destroyed. The Primarch found himself in command of a rebellion he could not stop without destroying half the Council's own membership. The battle never really happened. Instead, it became the largest peace conference in galactic history, held in space with thousands of ships from hundreds of worlds all participating. For the first time in millions of years, ordinary beings from across the galaxy could speak directly to each other without the Council controlling what they said. The conversations that followed changed everything. An elderly Tyrian captain asked a human engineer, "Is it true that your people share technology freely, instead of licensing it through the Council?" "Of course," the human replied. "Knowledge belongs to everyone. The more people who understand something, the faster we can all improve it." A young Valeth asked a Keth scientist, "How do you learn new things so quickly? Our elders say change is dangerous and should be avoided." "Change is life," the Keth answered. "Things that never change are dead. We would rather risk making mistakes than risk never learning anything new." These conversations happened on thousands of ships for days. Council members who had never been allowed to meet, beings from outside their own species, discovered that the galaxy was full of people with good ideas and kind hearts. The formal end of the war came not with a battle but with a vote. The Council's own members held an emergency session and voted to remove Primarch Zethvar from power. They elected a new leadership that included beings from many different races, not just the ancient ones who had ruled for so long. But the real change went much deeper than politics. The new Galactic Assembly, as it came to be called, threw out most of the old Council's rules. Technology licenses were abolished. Trade restrictions were removed. The laws against contact between different species were cancelled. Most importantly, the Assembly voted to invite every intelligent race in the galaxy to join as equals, regardless of how old their civilization was or whether they had been approved by the old Council. Admiral Chen found herself in the strange position of being offered command of the new Galactic Defense Force, with ships from dozens of former Council worlds volunteering to serve under Commonwealth leadership. She turned down the position. "I am a soldier, not a ruler," she told the Assembly. "My job was to defend freedom, not to govern it." That is a job for people who were chosen by those they lead, not imposed by those with the biggest guns. Instead, Sarah Chen retired from the military and became Earth's first elected president. The job was mostly ceremonial, since the Commonwealth had grown into something much larger than any one world could control. But humans had started this revolution, and many beings across the galaxy wanted a human voice to help guide what came next. Elena Vasquez, the pilot who had first broken Council speed records decades earlier, became the first human to serve as Assembly Secretary General. Her job was not to rule, but to help coordinate the thousands of different governments and organizations that made up the new galactic community. In her first speech to the Assembly, Elena said something that became famous across the galaxy. The old Council made the mistake of thinking that peace meant everyone doing the same thing. They forgot that true peace comes when everyone is free to do different things without fear. Today we begin building a galaxy where difference is celebrated, not punished. Dr. Webb, now very old but still excited about new discoveries, established the Galactic Institute of Free Science. Scientists from every known race worked together on projects that would have been impossible under the old system. Within 5 years, they had developed cures for diseases that had plagued certain species for millions of years, created new forms of energy that were clean and unlimited, and even begun to understand how consciousness itself worked. But perhaps the greatest achievement was something simpler. For the first time in galactic history, any being could travel freely to any world they wanted to visit. The barriers between species that had existed for millions of years were finally broken down. A human child could grow up on a Saurid warrior world, learning courage and honor. A Keth poet could study with luminary artists in the depths of space. A young Valeth could leave the crystal cities of their homeworld to explore the galaxy and learn new ways of thinking. Not everyone was happy with the changes. Some beings preferred the old ways where everything was predictable and controlled, but they were free to live as they chose, as long as they did not try to force others to do the same. Standing on the observation deck of New Geneva Station 10 years after the war's end, Sarah Chen watched ships from across the galaxy coming and going in the busy space around Earth. Some were explorers heading out to map new star systems. Others were traders carrying goods and ideas between worlds that had never known each other existed. Many were just families going to visit friends and relatives on different planets. Her granddaughter, a bright young woman named Amanda, joined her at the window. "Grandmother," Amanda asked, "do you ever regret what happened? All the fighting and struggle to get here?" Sarah thought about her own grandmother, who had defied the council all those years ago and started the chain of events that led to this moment. She thought about all the beings who had died in the war and all the others who had lived to see freedom. "No," she said finally. "The council was wrong when they said humans were too dangerous to live with other races. But they were right about one thing. We are dangerous to anyone who tries to keep intelligent beings from being free." Amanda looked out at the stars, where human ships flew alongside vessels from dozens of other races, all working together to build something better than anyone had ever imagined. "So what happens now?" she asked. Thank you for watching and comment for next part.